Hello and welcome to this live stream. So, I wanted to bring up something in the news because lately I've been thinking about how the media, the fake news, well, this isn't fake news, but how the media will take a story and then spin a narrative to try to make you either like a certain person in the story or believe something or support the story. So, for example, this Elena Bobbitt story, I remember growing up, I had heard about this. But I also heard so many women using this as like an empowerment, like a female empowerment story. Like, yeah, like, people would be like, oh, yeah, you go, girl. Like, he cheated on you, so you chopped off his eggplant. Like, and I remember thinking growing up, like, did the media do this? Was this the media's intention? And of course, the media has always has an agenda, usually. They went after so many people. They went after Trump. They went after Donald Trump. The media, the media, they went after Donald Trump, right? The media, they went after uh, a lot of people, the media, the fake news, the media. Well, this is real news, but I'm just saying that a lot of times what the media will does is they will spin a story and they will try to take someone from the story and either like villainize them, make them look like the hero. So in this case, this woman, I mean, I don't agree with what she did. I mean, I think, it's not good that he cheated on her. He shouldn't have cheated on her, but I don't think she had the right to chop off his eggplant. But to, the media, right? So I thought this was an interesting discussion because are there still women that feel that way? Is there feel still women that feel that this woman was justified in chopping off her own husband's eggplant just because he cheated on her? Are there women who still feel that way? Like, I want to ask the modern woman. I want to ask the modern woman, what would you do? Like, would you like, do you support Elena Bobbitt's what she did? Do you think she's like a female hero for female empowerment, standing up to cheaters? Like, how do so? Anyways, I thought this was an interesting discussion question. So I know in Canada, for example, I remember there were so many women in Canada that took this Elena Bobbitt story and were spinning it to like make her look like a hero. Like, oh, he cheated on you. He cheated on her and she chopped off his egg roll. Like, what a hero. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really, these women in Canada who were actually taking this Elena Bobbitt story and turning it into like an inspiring story of female empowerment because that he was cheating on her and she got revenge on a cheater. Like she got revenge on a cheating husband. Like that's the way in Canada they were spinning it to defend this woman. They were like, "You go, girl. You got you got revenge on a cheating husband." Like that's the way Canada was spinning the story. So when I was growing up, I'm like, if I ever date a woman, I'm especially not going to cheat on her. Like I was scared. Like when I heard about this story when I was a teenager, I was like, well, if I ever date a woman, I'm definitely not going to cheat on her. So, especially when all of these Canadian women are like really liberals, they're anti-gun. Canadian women are anti-gun, they're liberals. They're like, you're a man, like so Canadian women, they're like, oh, that's racist, or you're not, you shouldn't have guns because guns are dangerous, or so Canadian women are really like liberals like that, right? So especially they were taking the story and they were spinning the story to make her look like the hero. Like she's a female hero because she chopped off her cheating husband's eggplant. You know what I mean? She chopped off his wiener. She chopped off his sausage. So I just was thinking like, how the media they're able to like take a story and then spin it. And what a weird way to spin the story. Like, take this woman who like basically chopped off her own husband's, thingy, and then they made her look like the hero because he was like a cheating husband, you know. I mean, when you think about it, the media did this guy dirty. Because why did the media even have to report that the husband was a cheater? Like, of course, that was her motive, right? But it's like, this guy just had his thing chopped off, and then on top of it, he's made to look like a cheater. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy is a victim. His wife chopped off his thingy, like mutilated his. And then not only does he get his thing chopped off, but then he's like made to look like this evil husband cheater, like typical misogynist male husband cheater. Just imagine being that guy and like not only having your thing chopped off, but then women in the news celebrating and being like, she's a hero. She's a female pioneer for she stood up to her husband who was a cheater. Like like I would that would be awful for the husband. Like he almost then thinks that maybe it's his fault that he lost his. So I just like it's amazing how the media can take a story and then spin the story and then like take the person you think is actually the victim and then they turn around and they take the victim and they do victim blaming. Like this was a total victim blaming story because the guy had his wiener chopped off by the wife. The wife chopped the guy's wiener off, and then they turn around and make him look like the evil. Oh, the husband cheater. He cheated on his wife. Typical man cheats on his wife. So the media they like to do that. Let's go to comments. Kevin Monoxide came in and said, "I have a feeling you could castrate." I can't finish what you just said because I have to be careful. So, anyways, he said something about Anyways, it was something about Elon Musk. Anyways, let's go to Benny. Benny said, more proof any idiot can start a podcast. Yeah, I am a pioneer. I am a pioneer. I am paving the way for idiots. Thank you. No, I don't think I'm an idiot, but thank you for your comment. Janelle Watson came in and said hi. Mr. Fetch the Stick came in and said the story was not that he cheated. It was no, it was that he cheated. That's like I literally pulled up the article. I just read the article. He cheated and that's why she did it. So, I mean, if you're disagreeing with me, you're not really disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with the article. So, the news article. You're disagreeing with the news. So, I'm just going based off what the news said. So, if you have a disagreement with that, you need to take it up with the news, not me. I just read what the news said. Kilo Phoenix came in and said, "Don't cheat." I agree, definitely. I would never cheat on a woman for sure, especially a crazy one. Um, who else? Mr. Fetch the Stick also said, "You weren't." He said he saw the news. He saw it when it happened. Well, then Canada, we were totally like they totally spin the story in Canada because they said he was a cheater. They said the reason she did it was because he cheated on her. That's why. Like I distinctly remember growing up hearing this famous story and why you should never cheat on your wife. Like that's the way in Canada they spin the story. So if the news like if the Canadian news misreported it, then that's the Canadian news. But here I'll Google this on another device. I have a tablet. I'm gonna open up my tablet. I'm gonna Google this story because now I'm really confused. Why you're saying that she did it for a different reason than that he was a cheater. So let me pull up. I'll even Google it. I'll ask it a question on Google AI. I'll be like, why did Elena Bobbitt chop off her own husband's thingy? Why did Lorena Bobbitt chop off her own husband's uh, wiener? I said wiener. I don't think Google would care if I said the other word, but I said wiener. Hmm. Okay, so interesting. This is a quote from ABC News. It says, this is a quote. It says 25 years ago, her story got lost in the tabloids. It was basically just a big joke, she said on the news, but then she told The View, but there's no joke. Okay, so yeah, now I'm seeing a different story here, but no, wait a minute. No, no, no. Wait a minute. John Bobbitt denied allegations of abuse. In fact, he told ABC News that he never abused her and that she was the violent one. Okay, so no, someone's coming in and giving her side of the story, her defense. But actually, that's not what he says. According to John Bobbitt, he was never abusive to her, according to John Bobbitt. In fact, he said, and He probably will go on to say about something about the fact that she did it because she cheated on her. She did it probably because she was jealous that he was going to leave her, probably. So, no, you're coming in and you're saying her side of the story, her legal defense. But really, I mean, if he was really like abusive to her, then the way she would have handled it, like a normal sane woman, she would have went to the police. She would have filed a police report that he was committing domestic abuse. She would have filed for divorce, and she would have got a restraining order. So that's how I know that John Bobbitt's in the right. I believe John Bobbitt because this whole, oh, well, she did it because he allegedly abused her story. I don't believe that because if he was truly abusing her, then what a sane woman does is she files for divorce, she gets a restraining order, she leaves him right away, she goes to the police, she files a police report. But, she doesn't like, so she looks like the violent one. She's the one who committed a violent act. There's no evidence of John Bobbitt being abusive to her. This is just her made up story. She just made up this story. In John Bobbitt's defense, he says, if you listen to him, he says he never abused her. Never. And that makes sense and I believe that because if he was really abusive to her, she would have got a restraining order, divorced him, she would have left and gone to the police and filed a police report. But she didn't. Instead, she was showed herself as the violent one. She showed herself as the violent one when she chopped off her husband's eggplant. So, this is another case of a woman who's a liar, who's violent, who's psychotic, and then who turned around and actually blamed the victim. She's the perpetrator, she's the violent one, and then she tried to justify it saying he abused her. And he actually denied it. It says in this news article, this ABC news article, John Bobbitt has denied allegations of abuse, telling ABC News in 2018 that he never abused her and he only tried to subdue Lorena when she became violent. And in fact, he was even acquitted. He was acquitted of marital. So he won his trial. He was acquitted of the accusations. So what happened was basically this is what I believe that happened, in my opinion. What I believe happened, and now I just read you what the news says, and now I'm going to say what I think happened, in my opinion. He was going to leave her because she's crazy. He was cheating on her. I believe he was probably cheating on her. He was because he wanted to leave her because there was, a lot of men cheat. She was crazy, and then she proved she was crazy by chopping off his thing. If she wasn't crazy, then the non-crazy thing to do would have been to leave him, file a report, get a restraining order. That's what sane women do. But instead, she proved his point. She showed that she was crazy. She proved that she was crazy, and she chopped off his eggplant. So once again, another man who's a victim. This man is the real victim here. And the media turned around and they totally made him look like this monster. They tried to and I don't believe that at all. Because if he was truly abusing her, she would have left. She would have filed a restraining order. She would have went to the police. She would have filed a police report, and she didn't. So, no, I believe John Bobbitt when he says that he denied allegations of abuse. I believe it because I know women, not all women, but I know of many women that are liars. Not all women are liars. Not all women are abusers. But in my opinion, I believe him. Because like I said, if he really was abusing her, she would have picked up, left him, divorced him, got a restraining order, and went and filed a report with the police. There's no evidence of him abusing her. There is evidence of her abusing him. She chopped off his eggplant. So that's why I believe John Bobbitt in this case. Yes, so let's go to the comments. Sharon Haywood came in and said, hold on, sorry. There was another comment before Sharon Haywood. I'll get to Sharon Haywood's comment, but I just want to go to the other one first. There's a lot of comments, actually. Gaze Down said, of course he's going to say that he never abused her. Who in their right mind would say that they are abusing her? But who in their right mind would chop off his uh, eggplant and then make herself look like, and she prove herself as the violent one? She showed herself as the violent one. If she was truly a victim, she would have divorced him, picked up, got a restraining order, went to the police, left him forever. That's what is a sane person is supposed to do. A sane person, if they are truly the victim, gets up, leaves, files a restraining order, just leaves the situation and just divorces him and leaves. But now that she turned around and this is ridiculous how he's the victim. She chopped off his egg roll and then she chopped off his eggplant. And then now they do victim blaming and make him look like it's his fault. This is ridiculous how the media lies. And now this could set the precedent. This could now is like what? So is every woman who alleges domestic violence, are they gonna go and first off, they need to now there's thank God there's cameras. Thank God there's cameras. And there actually are many cases of women who falsely accused men of domestic violence. There was a case, I remember the guy put hidden cameras in the house and she falsely accused him of domestic violence, and then he showed the cameras and it clearly showed that she was the aggressor. She was the one abusing him and anything he did was in self-defense. And then they tried to take like a little clip of him defending himself and made him look like he was the aggressor. But then when he actually showed all of the footage, all of the hidden camera footage, it was very clear she was the bully, she was the aggressor, she was crazy, and he had more than ample proof. So this is another case of where men are the victims and women like are abusing men. And like this could have like you don't women don't want this to happen to um their husbands either, you know? Like women don't want this to happen to their husbands. Women don't want this to happen to men. There's a lot of so for women to so okay, there are a lot of women that are going to come in and immediately defend the woman, right? Like women take stick up for other women, but then there's also women that are going to come in and be like they're going to use their common sense and be like if this woman was really a victim of domestic abuse, she would have picked up, filed a restraining order, divorced him, and left. But instead, what she did was she proved herself as the violent one. She chopped off his eggplant, which, by the way, if she believed in the justice system, any sane person would say, hey, she is accusing him of something, but the way to handle it is she would take him to court. But instead of giving him his day in court, instead of taking him to court and doing it that way, she decided to be judge and jury. We cannot have that in society. We cannot have people to be judge and jury. Now, unfortunately, there are cases, for example, when female veterinarians murder someone's dog, because female veterinarians are violent people who like to euthanize animals. If a female veterinarian euthanized someone's dog, I could definitely see the dog owner going really up, getting mad at that female veterinarian. that euthanized his, because I don't know why women, there's so many women that don't like animals. There's so many women that are animal abusers. There's women that don't like animals. So there were many cases of female veterinarians who euthanized people's dogs just because they didn't like dogs. Like there's a lot of women that don't like dogs. There's a lot of women that become veterinarians. They don't actually like animals and they just euthanize. They just euthanize, murder every dog. So in cases like that, when clearly the man would be pissed off, I could definitely see why, someone would react out of anger. But in this case, with Elena Bobbitt, there was no he was acquitted, by the way. It just said in the ABC's news article that he was acquitted. He won his court case against her. And if she really was a victim of domestic abuse, she would have picked up, filed a domestic first, and she would have had pictures too. There was no pictures. There's no if he was hitting her, if he was abusing her, how come there's no pictures of it? If she was an abuse victim, she would have gotten a camera, taking pictures. There was no pictures of her being abused by him. So what I believe happened here actually is this is a case of a crazy woman who found out her husband was going to leave her, cheating on her, and she chopped off his eggplant. Because if she really was a sane person, she would have, and if she really was a victim of domestic abuse, she would have picked up, filed a restraining order, just left him. Okay? So I believe in this case, it's very obvious that she, and like she's not allowed to be judge and jury. This guy is allowed to have his day in court. So like even if you're gonna sit here and come in and say, oh well, she was justified, if that were the case, then the way that they would have to go about this, the proper way to go about this, is he would still give him his day in court. And when he got his day in court, he denied the allegations. He denied the allegations. So clearly this woman was a nut job, and you don't want this to happen to just anybody, right? Like this could suddenly just start happening to everyone, right? Suddenly now every woman who gets pissed off that she finds out her husband's cheating is going to chop off his eggplant and then claim claim that he was abusing her. Like we can't live in a society where women just start becoming judge and jury, especially crazy women who decide to become judge and jury. There's a reason we're supposed to have a court process. There's a reason why we're supposed to have a trial. Every person is supposed to be given a fair trial. A fair trial. Every person is supposed to be given a fair trial. So if they really were accusing this guy for real of domestic whatever, then in that case, he would be given a trial, a fair trial. It's innocent till proven guilty. It's not crazy woman just decides to chop off her husband's eggplant. That's not what society's supposed to be. Because if that were the case, then every single time a woman found out her husband was cheating on her, she'd chop off his eggplant. Do you want to live in a society like that? You want to live in a society where a woman can just choose to just chop off her husband's eggplant and then just turn around and lie and say that he was abusing her? So no, I don't believe her. I believe him. I believe he was the victim in this case because like I said, if she was really the victim, she would have picked up, left him, filed a restraining order, and took him to court. She didn't do that. She's not allowed to chop off his eggplant and then turn around and then say, oh, and then not have taken, she's not allowed to do that. So this guy was clearly the victim. This is so disgusting that this guy was clearly the victim. He was clearly the victim, and they turned around and they did victim blaming, and they tried to make him look like the bad guy. Imagine you're a guy, you get your thing chopped off, and then they turn around and they try to blame you. And this lying woman, if she was really telling the truth, she would have had pictures of the abuse. She would have filed a restraining order. She would have left him. She would have divorced him. So do you want it now, and that every single time a woman gets gets mad that her husband cheats on her or whatever, any reason? Like, what if he doesn't take out the garbage? What if he forgets to take out the garbage? What if he comes home late? What if he forgets to pick up dinner? Like, are crazy women just gonna keep chopping off their husband's egg rolls every time He allegedly does something. So no, I think I believe him in this case. I believe him. Um, because if he and if you know and there are, this is kind of offensive. It's very offensive to real victims of domestic abuse because there are women who are real victims of domestic abuse and they do it the proper way. They divorce him, they would leave him, they would get a restraining order, they would take him to court. And if a woman did it the proper way, I actually would probably believe her, honestly. If a woman did it the proper way and was sane enough to say, pick up and say, okay, if allegedly he was abusing her, she would pick up, she would divorce him, she would get a restraining order, she would leave, and then take him to court. And if she did it that, and if she did it the proper way and gave him his day in court, then I would probably might actually believe her. But I don't believe crazy women who just chop off their husband's eggplant and then turn around and make up a last minute story to try, like, as a defense. No, I don't believe that. No. So the bottom line, it's innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. Everyone is given a fair trial. And it is not crazy woman decides to become judge and jury and chops off her husband's eggplant. Because if that's the way you want it to be in society, then this is going to open the floodgates. Every single time a woman gets into an argument with her boyfriend, she chops off his eggplant. He burns the pasta. He's making food and he accidentally overcooks the food. She chops off his eggplant. So crazy women cannot take the law into their own hands, especially when they're the ones who are liars. They're the bullies, right? Because if that's the case, then every single time a woman wants to claim, like, even if she really was, okay, let's even just assume for a sec that she really was a victim of domestic violence, right? The way to do it is you file a police report, you leave, you get a restraining order. Okay, that's the way to do it. Because right now, there is no evidence that he abused her. None whatsoever. In fact, when you read the news article, he won his case against her. He also denied the allegations of abusing her. And she's probably going to turn around and say, oh, like one time she had the TV too loud, so he yelled at her to turn down the TV. Like a woman could turn around and call that abuse. A woman could turn around and call and say, oh, he accidentally called her the wrong name in bed one time. A woman could turn around and say, that's abuse. He was in bed with her and he accidentally called her the wrong name. Oh, a woman could turn around and say that's abuse, right? So abuse is a very broad term. And if she had been punched in the face by him, if he had punched her in the face, probably trying to defend himself because she's a crazy wife-wielding maniac who chops off her husband's eggplant. But let's say hypothetically, that he did allegedly hit her. She, as a sane person, would go get a camera. They had them back then. You know, it wasn't normal to have video cameras, but they at least had Kodak cameras. They had cameras. You had disposable cameras at the store. She goes, get a disposable camera, takes pictures of herself with the injuries. There are no pictures with herself, even with injuries. And to keep in mind, a lot of women can even still hit themselves in the face and then claim that they were hit. So it's still not even 100% proof that he's even guilty, even if she had pictures of herself bruised. But if this was a woman who was a real victim of domestic violence, she would have done the minimum. The minimum thing to do is you go to a store, you get a disposable camera, and you take pictures. Or you go to a friend's house. Like if she had went to a friend's house, any friend who is not a nut job would have been like, oh, we're going to go get a camera. We're going to go to get a Kodak disposable camera. We're going to take pictures. Women take pictures of everything. Women love to take pictures. Women constantly like to take pictures of everything. So you don't think that if this woman, Lorena Bobbitt, was really a victim of domestic violence, you don't think she would have went to a store if she was a real victim of domestic violence and she was telling the truth? You don't think she would have went to the store, got a disposable camera, took pictures of her injuries? No, she didn't. Because she wasn't a victim of domestic abuse. She's a liar. She's a nut job. She chopped off her own husband's eggplant, and then she doubled down and turned around and tried. Not only did he's the victim, not only did she chop off his eggplant, and he's the victim, then she turns around and has the audacity to do victim blaming and say that he abused her. Listen, she didn't do anything. She should be in prison forever, Lorena Bobbitt, because she didn't file her police report. She didn't get a restraining order. She didn't leave him. She didn't divorce him. She didn't even take pictures of the alleged abuse. She didn't, if she got a black eye, if he punched her in the face allegedly one time, she didn't go and actually take pictures of her injuries. She didn't do nothing. She didn't do nothing that a domestic violence person would do. Okay? Nothing. And at least even if, for example, she turns around and she tries to say, oh, she didn't have pictures because she tried taking pictures, but then he saw the pictures, he got rid of them. But then at least if she had filed a restraining order and divorced him, then at least she could have said, but she did do this. But she didn't do any of that. She didn't do none of that. She didn't divorce him. She didn't get a restraining order. She didn't leave him. She didn't even take pictures of his so-called alleged injuries. And then on top of it, to prove that she's the real bully, she's the nut job, she's the abuser. She proves she's the abuser. She chopped off his eggplant. Any woman who's a real victim of domestic violence would turn around and say, "Okay, we're gonna take him to court." She didn't take him to court. She chopped off his eggplant in the middle of the night. She chopped off his wiener, and then she turned around and tried to and she's the bully, she's the psychopath, the violent psychopath, and then she turned around and tried to make it look like she was some innocent victim in all of this, when she's the lying sociopath, she's the psychopath, she's the violent nut job who cuts off her husband's wiener just because he cheats on her. And I believe that's why she did it. I believe she did it because he cheated on her. I believe he was going to leave her crazy ass. I believe that this guy, John Bobbitt, who, by the way, denied all of the allegations that he allegedly abused her, and I believe him. I believe he was going to leave her crazy ass. He was cheating on her with another woman. She found out he was cheating on her, and that's why she did it. That's what I believe. Because she did not act like a real a woman of domestic violence. She did not act like a real victim of domestic violence. In fact, there are real victims of domestic violence who probably would agree that Lorena Bobbitt should be in prison for lying about and for doing like this is a slap in the face to this is offensive to the women who are actual victims of domestic violence. In fact, you know what? I am going to message Candace Owens. I will. I cannot believe that there's a man who's a victim she chopped off his wiener, and then she, a lying sociopath, turns around. Not only is he a big victim, not only did he just get his wiener chopped off, but then she turns around and twists the story and lies like a lying sociopath that she is. So you know what? I am going to message Candace Owens. Candace Owens is an American investigator. She's an investigative reporter, Candace Owens. I am going to literally message her and please ask her to look into this case. Because Candace Owens she's a good investigator, and she has a good ability to see through the bullshit. Candace Owens is very good at seeing through the bullshit. Just Candace Owens is alleging that Michael Jackson's innocent, right? Candace Owens has famously been alleging, when everyone else believed that Michael Jackson was guilty, Candace Owens is alleging that he's innocent, that Michael Jackson is innocent. So Candace Owens can see through the bullshit and lies. Candace Owens can see through the bullshit. It takes a good woman to take down a bad woman, right? It takes a good woman to take down a bad woman. I'll repeat that. It takes a good woman to take down a bad woman. And so it's going to take Candace Owens. I really hope that she does a deep dive investigation into this Lorena Bobbitt story. And Candace Owens will probably find proof and dig up proof that Lorena Bobbitt is a sociopath, a liar. She's this violent psychopath, and the husband was a victim the whole time. So I'm going to message Candace Owens and please ask investigative Candace Owens to please look into this Lorena Bobbitt story, because this is insane that a man is a victim. Like, he's the victim. She chops off his wiener, and he's the victim. He's in pain. He's the victim. And then on top of it, to add insult to injury, she turns around and lies like a lying sociopath she is, and tries to make him look like and make him look like he was the bad guy. Not only is he the victim and she chopped off his wiener, she's the violent psychopath, but then she tries to turn around and make him look like the bad guy. She takes the victim and makes the victim look like the villain. This is so insane. I can't even believe, when I was growing up, I only heard the one side of this. It's like, we're in Canada, right? And the media was different 20 years ago. So I heard one side of the story, and the side that I heard was that the real reason that she chopped off his wiener was because he cheated on her. That's it. I heard nothing about domestic violence. This whole domestic violence stuff, I just found out today because someone came in here and said, oh, the cheating story is not the real story. I'm like, what are you talking about? The cheating? That's what we heard in Canada. That's what I heard. We heard in Canada that Lorena Bobbitt was famous for chopping off her husband's eggplant because he cheated on her. That's the story we heard in Canada. And then today, these people came in and said, oh, no, that's not the real story. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not the real story. And sure enough, I go to I look on the news, but the thing is it's not that it's not the real story. It's his side of the story. His side of the story is that the reason that she chopped off his eggplant was because he cheated on her. That's his side of the story. Her side of the story, which a lot of news articles are now presenting her side of the story, but her side of the story is a lie. I believe it to be a lie. It doesn't make sense. She did not do what a real victim of domestic violence would do. A real victim of domestic violence would believe in the justice system. A real victim of domestic violence would say everyone deserves their day in court, and she would take him to court. That's what she would do. A real victim of domestic violence who alleged he slapped her one time. Maybe they got into an argument, like like those typical soap opera argument. He gets into an argument with her, he slaps her, and then she gets a bruise on her cheek. If that's really what happened, she would have taken pictures. She would have reported it to a friend at least. She would have filed a restraining order. She would have divorced him. She would have left him. She didn't do any of those things. She didn't do any of the things that a real victim of domestic violence would do. So this is why I don't believe her story. I believe his story. I believe his side of the story. Because even if she was a victim of domestic violence, which I don't believe she was, she would have said and turned around and said, everyone deserves their right to a day in court. Everyone deserves a fair trial. Everyone deserves a fair trial. This is what every sane person believes. Every sane person in the world believes that everyone has the right to a fair trial. Anyone who's accused. Anyone who's accused has the right to a fair trial. Because a fair trial will tell you the truth. If you don't get a fair trial, you get nonsense and BS. So everyone has the right to a fair trial. Everyone is innocent till proven guilty. This is the law. This is the law. Everyone's innocent till proven guilty. And so, especially, this is why this guy needed a trial, especially because he was exonerated in his trial. He did actually have a trial against her, and according to the trial, he was acquitted of any allegations of domestic abuse. It said in the news article that John Bobbitt denied all the allegations of domestic abuse, and he was even acquitted. That's what it said in the news article. So thank God that he was actually given a trial. So no, I don't believe her. I don't believe her side of the story. It's psychotic. It's psychotic because, women, this could open up the floodgates. Now, every time a woman gets in an argument with her husband, she goes and chops off his eggplant. Like, you know what I mean? Like this was not good because this could open up the floodgates. Now, every time a woman has an argument with her boyfriend, she chops off his eggplant and then tries to justify it after. No, especially knowing crazy women. Have we not seen all of these crazy woke women, these crazy woke agendas, these crazy women that are going around spreading this woke agenda? Do you not see how crazy these women are? Just watch lefties losing it. Just watch lefties losing it. Just watch Sky News Australia. If you watch Sky News Australia, if you watch lefties losing it, if you watch the Australian news program, they show how crazy these women are. So I'm not just going to go and believe a woman's word, especially when she goes and chops off his eggplant. I don't believe that. Because if she had the ability that she could have chopped off his eggplant, she also had the ability. She could have left. She could have left. She could have filed a police report. She could have filed a restraining order. She could have divorced him. If she has the capability to chop off his eggplant in the middle of the night, she also had the ability to pick up, leave, divorce him, go and take him to court. And she didn't do any of that. A sane person who believes in respecting the law and actually who uploads the law believes in innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. And if he really was guilty, and if he really was hitting her, then she would have gone to a store, picked up a Kodak camera, a disposable camera, or any kind of camera, or had her friend pick up a camera and take pictures of her face showing the domestic abuse. Maybe she alleges that one time they got in an argument and he slapped her. Maybe that's what she alleges, right? Well, if that's the case, then there would be some sort of like anything. There's nothing. She didn't leave him. She didn't divorce him. She didn't file a restraining order. She didn't take pictures of this alleged abuse. In my opinion, I believe his side of the story. And I think she's a liar. And I really hope Candace Owens, I hope she does a deep dive investigation into this, because Candace Owens has the resources to investigate something like this. And clearly, Candace Owens has a special interest in women, right? So I think I'm not sure Candace Owens if what her real agenda is, but I know that she definitely was against the feminists. Candace Owens did a whole book, something about make him a sandwich or something. She was against all this feminist stuff. So I think Candace Owens would be interested in investigating the story. Because it's so sad. This guy's the real victim. He got his wiener chopped off, and then on top of it, add insult to injury. Not only is he the victim and he got his wiener chopped off, but then she turns around and makes him look like the villain. That like imagine being that guy. He's the real victim, and then she turns around. Not only does he get his wiener chopped off, but then she tries to make him look like the villain. Wow, what a lying sociopath! That woman, I believe she's a lying sociopath. She's a psychopath. She's the violent nut job. And this is why men, if you suspect even for a minute that your woman is crazy, men out, message to men out there. If you suspect even for a minute that your wife is crazy, you gotta divorce her and leave. And because you don't want her to chop off your egg roll while you're sleeping, right? You don't want your crazy wife to chop off your eggplant while you're sleeping. So men out there, all the men, message to the men, if you even suspect, even just a smidge, that she's crazy, the best thing to do, divorce her, pick up, leave, and divorce her. That's the best thing to do.